Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going over the 2026 South Carolina governor's race, where the Attorney General of South Carolina has officially announced that he is joining the race. Attorney General Alan Wilson, who Representative Nancy Mace has made a lot of accusations and statements about him getting very aggressive statements out here, has entered this race, and this could get very interesting because the main reason for this is that Alan Wilson now being in the primary, him and Nancy Mace have been going back and forth a lot online, making statements about each other and such, in the anticipation that Mace will be joining this governor's race as well. So Alan Wilson, the South Carolina Attorney General running for this race, is very significant because we're likely going to get a very competitive Republican primary. Just to give you an idea, a little bit of background of what I'm talking about here, South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson joined the governor's race just a few days ago, saying, quote, "As your governor, we'll deliver meaningful relief to hardworking people. We're going to finally eliminate the state income tax." Wilson, who has served as the state's attorney general since 2011, said in a speech on Monday. "We're going to doge South Carolina government from top to bottom," he declared. "We will root out waste, fraud, and abuse, and we will expose it." Now, this is where things get interesting. U.S. Representative Nancy Mace, who also is considering a run for governor, has previously accused Wilson of protecting pedophiles. How does Alan Wilson explain his record of protecting kids versus protecting pedos? You either protect kids or you protect pedos. You can't do both. Alan Wilson chose pedophiles, hold the line, Mace wrote in an April post on X. So obviously that is a very bold statement for Nancy Mace to make about Wilson, who is also likely going to be her fellow Republican primary governor opponent. Robert Kittle, a spokesperson for the state attorney general's office, called Mace's accusations ridiculous, telling Fox News Digital in an email on Tuesday that as an assistant attorney general, Wilson previously prosecuted and put behind bars people who sexually abused children. Wilson appeared to push back against Mace's attacks in a lengthy post on X, saying, "I'll not stand by and allow someone to lie about not only me, but the dedicated men and women in my office who've been in the trenches protecting kids for years. A would-be candidate for governor is attacking me, prosecutors and our law enforcement partners who put their life on the line to protect children and catch predators. Enough is enough. Over the course of the last several weeks, this would-be candidate has peddled lies and mistruths for her own political ambitions and clicks on social media." So Wilson joining the race, I mean, right now, given only Josh Kimbrell, state senator from the 11th district, and Alan Wilson right now, Alan Wilson would start out as the favorite to be the Republican nominee. He is the most high-profile name recognition and office in the state of South Carolina next to Kimbrell, so he's more likely than not going to be the Republican nominee if it stays this way. However, there are 4 or 5 other Republicans who have expressed interest in running. Sean Bennett, a state senator, has expressed interest. Pamela Evette, the lieutenant governor of South Carolina, has also expressed interest. Given she's the lieutenant governor, certainly would give her a leg up in being tied to Governor Henry McMaster, who is term limited and cannot seek a third term. She certainly is someone that should be looked at as a potential candidate. All eyes are also on U.S. Representative Nancy Mace as well. She's a very big following on social media, and that alone will bring some attention to this race if she does decide to join. Also, fellow U.S. Representative Ralph Norman from the 5th District is also publicly expressed interest in potentially running. The hypothetical polling that's been done so far, there has been 2 polls back from March. One shows when Pamela Evette is in this race against Nancy Mace and Alan Wilson, Evette starts out with 31%, Mace is in second with 29%, Alan Wilson closely behind at 27%, Ralph Norman 11%, 2% undecided. So that poll is by Trafalgar, which is a very popular Republican poll that's often working with President Trump's campaign and workers of President Trump's campaign, shows a very, very close race in that regard. The second poll from First Tuesday Strategies, which is also, I believe, a Republican-aligned pollster, shows Alan Wilson at 21%, Nancy Mace at 16%, 47% undecided in that one, with Evette and Norman at 7% and 6%, respectively. So a lot less undecided vote in the Trafalgar Group poll, but it shows that if these candidates decide to run, if Evette, Mace, and Wilson are all in the race, this could be a very competitive Republican primary. Evette leading over Mace by 2%, Mace leading over Wilson by 2%, it's certainly going to be a very, very close race if they all decide to get in, which could make those attacks like Mace has been doing on Wilson certainly very interesting because we're likely going to hear more of those ramping up. A lot of races in 2026 are actually having more competitive primaries than perhaps even that usually happen, especially on the Republican side, like in the Texas Senate race is one. Now this one could be another important one as well. There's also a Senate race in South Carolina that is up in 2026 with Lindsey Graham, so I'm sure that one will get some attention as well in the media and on social media as well. So it's possible we could see some very interesting Republican primaries happening in South Carolina in 2026. As for the general election, though, there's really not too much of a problem for the Republicans at winning this race. A Democrat, Jermaine Johnson, a state representative from the 70th District, has formed an exploratory committee, but all the political prediction rankings have this as solid Republican. Some election history for South Carolina. The governor level, let me just do past elections here. In 2022, it voted for Henry McMaster by 17.4%, a safe Republican margin. In 2018, it voted for Henry McMaster by about 8 points, which is a likely Republican margin. And back in 2014, it was also likely Republican for Nikki Haley. So aside from 2018, it ended up being about 8 points. It seems to be more of in between a likely and safe Republican state. At the presidential level, it voted for Donald Trump by 17.9% in 2024, after it voted for Trump by 11.7% in 2020. At the Senate level, in 2022, its last Senate race, Tim Scott won by 26 points. However, when Lindsey Graham was up in 2020, he only won by 10.3%. So South Carolina is sort of around being a safe and likely Republican state, depending on which election you're looking at, and depending on the election environment as well. For the 2026 map, I would start South Carolina out as safe Republican for right now. We have to wait and see how the Republican primary plays out, because if it does get very nasty and the Democrats can get some momentum in this race, it's possible the Democrats could get this election under 15% margin of victory for the Republicans, though I do think the Republicans are going to hold on and win this state pretty much no matter what. In 2026, it's possible it could get a little bit more competitive due to how competitive that Republican primary could be. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts, and I hope to see you in a future video.